place of... Hi. Okay, so we're looking at Mary Trump's, whether or not she had a physical, like, addiction to substance. And what I'm getting, we have our tarot cat bear here, having a little nap by the cards. Being good kitty. Yes. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing here. There's a car in her atmosphere with regard to, did she drink? Did she have a substance abuse problem? The sun may indicate yes. And it may indicate that as a position of, and I would say yes because I'm getting in her recent past, a Page of Cups when she was younger, and I'm getting an Ace of Cups as she grew, I'm going to say, older. This is based on the Three of Swords in her past. There's some kind of sense of betrayal that happened in her life when she was much, much younger. Some kind of heartbreak. And I think part of the reason, and this is all allegedly, of course, but what I'm getting with her being crowned by the Hermit, and I'm feeling like there may have been someone in her environment when she was growing up that may have been a pedophile. Because, and somebody that could be gone and go off for long periods of time, maybe do what they wanted. And I get problems with her father. Now, I don't know if her dad interfered with her at all, but I think whatever he did or didn't do was significant for Mary. And she has a lot of emotions about it as an innocent child. Hard for her to talk about, hard for her to communicate with. I think after she left Scotland, I question, did she ever go back and visit? Or was it like she never cared to go back and visit that place? Because I feel that she had such an unpleasant upbringing there, a lot of unpleasant memories that she was trying to get away from. And I do think she could have had a father that drank, and could have been why they didn't have a lot of money. And a lot of anger, maybe resentment toward her father for having done that to them. That would make a heck of a lot of sense. She has a lot of emotions here, too. And as she grew older, I believe that she put on a personification of happiness and sunshine, but I tend to think it hid a lot of past pain. So I think she was, when she was around people that she enjoyed socializing with, which I think would be other adults, I think she was warm to them. But from, I think, childhood to the ability to emotionally connect was affected. And I see so that into her, I feel like more adult years and elder years, there was a lot of emotionality. There was also, I do think she had a tendency to drink. This is where it's spilling. If this was a cup, it would be spilling over the cup. And given the question I'm asking, I'm thinking she developed a drinking problem herself. And it may have been why she didn't spend time around at least Trump, maybe some of her other children as well. Her point of view on the issue, the topic of substance and alcohol, was that it helped her, that this was a means of taking care of an issue in her physical life. I think it was a coping mechanism, but in her opinion, it was needed. It was self-justified as a need. Okay. And her environment was a new beginning with a page of pentacles. So I think when she left that environment where she grew up and she came to America, she did not have, she did it without much looking back, because she was wanting to have a new life where she would have some money and her own freedom, and to get away from perhaps behaviors she found troubling at home, to do with drink and temperament, and from her childhood even. Now, in her hopes and fears, she has the Queen of Wands. Now that is interesting. I'm not quite sure how this Queen of Wands yet fits in. I'm going to say maybe it could have been somebody that she had hopes for, maybe a daughter, or fears for. Again, it could have been a family member. I'm just not quite clear on that card yet. But it's a position of hopes and fears. And I also wonder if, I'm sure Fred had mistresses. Yeah, I think she did. The final end result is the moon. I think this was kept pretty quiet. And I think also with perhaps the Hermit card crowning hers, that she kept to herself and may have overindulged and didn't, and like to drink maybe alone or on her own. And I think this behavior or this truth has been hidden with regard to their family. So I think Mary did have a problem. I think she did. The sun comes through and it connects us to an overflowing cup, if you will, in most decks. And this one is just hands and the fluid spilling from the hands. But it's a pattern that went back to her family, I think, and she experienced and was exposed to as a child. And it was created a lot of heartbreak in her childhood. The people weren't really parenting. It wasn't really there, wasn't really present in her home. I don't know about her own mother. Or if, so far with her, I've just gotten cards about, this could be her mother, I don't know, a fearing or a hope for her mother. I don't know, but with regards to her dad, I did not get good feelings. And he could have been abusive, at the very least, maybe physically abusive. Um, Often people are that are addicted. We'll draw a couple clarifications for Mary. Look, Ten of Swords with the King of Wands. I'm sorry, Swords. Now, both Donald and his dad were air signs. Trump Sr. was a Libra, and of course, Donald, a Gemini. This created a lot of pain in someone's life. A lot of pain. It made this, I don't know if Marianne felt a lot of pain about her husband, but certainly in connection to Donald, their relationship, I think, ended rather kind of painfully and was painful throughout. And I think her marriage would have been affected too. Great deal of pain there. So I think the truth of the matter was that Mary may have had problems with alcohol, substance. I'm thinking for some reason I want to say pills, but that's on Mary. And I'm going to do a quick look now at Fred Trump. Did Fred Trump Fred Trump Sr., did he have a drinking problem or a substance abuse problem? Was Fred Trump Sr. a drinker? Did he abuse substance? Fred Trump, he was a Libra with Aquarius moon. Fred Trump Sr., was he a drinker or did he have any kind of problems with substance? Let's take a look now. Well, we have the Four of Swords. This is about a card of recovery, a long recovery, and a need to recover or withdraw. Withdrawals? Let's just look. Crossing him is a King of Cups. This falls in a place of challenge. Now, I don't know if this is his son, Fred Jr., that created a problem with his use. This is a male adult, unless it's an aspect of Fred that he struggled with. And I kind of think it could be. And it could have caused him illness. It could have caused, maybe, allegedly, maybe his dementia to increase or come about more soon. Because I know that people that drink can cause brain damage, and they are more susceptible to dementia induced by abuse of alcohol and other mental disorders and mental illnesses. So I'm kind of thinking maybe Fred got sick because of it. But let's continue. There was a choice here that he had to make further back in his past. And I guess that's about with regard to whether he would experiment or whether he would use substance or not. I think he received, and there could have been a parent, this occurs to me, there could have been a parent that had problems in his life with that, and maybe one that didn't. Just a feeling. Look at that again. He has the two of wands as a basis and the two of swords as a crown. This is where you block out the world. It's a bit of denial, and you're very aware of how you feel internally. So I think though Fred may have put on airs that, hey, he didn't really care. Hey, he was Mr. Tough Guy. I think there was a denial about how he felt actually internally. And I think he had some conflicted feelings about it. But I think it did end up making him ill. I think there was a denial here. I think he also, in his past, was not entirely up and up about his behavior. He was involved, and I'm looking at, and I'm feeling like I get a hint of prohibition times, and it coming into his life there. It's just a flash. We know that his father, when he came to America, built a saloon. And if you don't, there was also a brothel. So he catered to the illicit and the needs of, for like substance, that the gold rush prospectors and, wanted to have. They drink. They were hard drinkers, and that was provided. Yes, I think he had problems. I think he could tell that there was mental deterioration and illness going on. Into his advancing years. This caused him mental problems. Problems with memory, problems also perhaps with anxiety over not remembering things or not remembering things correctly. I think he worried a great deal about it because he was very concerned about his image of being not wanting to, I think because he felt it would make him look weak if he didn't have his mental faculties properly functioning, and I think looked like he couldn't remember stuff. I think he was also quite possibly came to be very suspicious and came to be very maybe paranoid also as his mental health deteriorated, I think in connection to the abuse of alcohol. And if he didn't drink it, and this is there, it could be then what happened to his son affecting him. But I'm going with it more like Fred. I feel like Fred was involved in prohibition, and he may have developed a little drinking habit then that he didn't think much of until it started affecting his health because he was in denial. That just makes more sense to me. Yeah. And it's clear. It's clear that he had a definite, I would say, issue. His perspective mentally was that I think he was aware that he lost his sharpness, his alertness, his ability to think. Was his thoughts were getting diluted, and I don't just mean diluted, that too, but literally diluted by the use of drink. I wonder if they struggled to try and get or drink away from him. I wonder if he ever forgot he drank. Anyways, yeah, I think he did. I think there was some behavior on both of their parents' parts. He may have just been able to be more functional because he was in denial about it until he couldn't and he got sick and he wasn't as sharp as he used to be. I think he got away with it up to a certain point in his youth. Yeah, in his environment, he has the moon. He dealt with a lot of illicit, dark stuff in his environment. He knew a lot of criminal type people. That's who he dealt with. So, access to this stuff throughout the years was there for him. He knew the people. And he took that dark walk. He took that dark walk to what was in that environment. What he feared was being confused, was not having his faculties together, was delusion. And that's what he became. I think he also liked the feeling that alcohol gave him initially, or substances that made him feel dreamy, that made him feel at ease, that took the edge off, that made him feel perhaps more like he was having fun, because he was pretty uptight. I still think his idea of fun would probably be being a bully. But there you go. Now, final end result for Fred Sr. with regards to substance alcohol abuse is the Page of Pentacles or coins. And at the end result, interestingly enough, we get a card of reverting back to a childlike, in my opinion, because it's a page, type of personality, where I don't think he knew his environment seemed new to him. I think where he was reliving his past. He reverted back to that state of thought and mind. So at the end, he was like a child and confined. He felt the sense of confinement. He felt a lack of, he felt like he couldn't do anything, that he was just kind of existing and confined and not really aware of what was going on. So I see his deterioration was pretty significant to becoming childlike and confined, not able to really understand what was happening, but a great deal of sorrow too. There's a great deal of loss. Maybe what he did end up feeling was, I wonder if he would actually cry more. This was lost, and this was definitely enhanced and exacerbated, if you ask me, by excessive use of substance, alcohol. And I think that before he lost his ability to think properly, I think he was regretting it as these symptoms came on, where he was aware that he was like not remembering things. And then he pretty quickly slipped right down that road. I don't think he was very pleasant to deal with his dementia, to the point that I think he just became kind of vegetable-like, honestly. And I do feel that time of prohibition, the time that both he and his wife lived through in their youth, contributed to problems with their health, both of them, later. I do think that, you know, it gave him an unpleasant aspect to his personality, and most assuredly so, I think, as the I think illness increased at the very end. So there's my reading with regard to substance abuse, of looking at, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, with the cards, at Mary and Fred Trump Sr. And I'll leave you with that for today. I thank you for those of you that hang in there. And I will see you in the next video. And all the best. Bear says bye too.